Welcome to Manifest Your Abundant Business Interviews on ahanadaniel.com.
Hi, I'm Ahana.
And hello, I'm Daniel. And in these interviews, we want to bring you experts to help you grow and scale your heart-based business.
And today we wanted to interview the amazing Sharon, who is the founder of Sound Wellness and Sound Wellness Institute. Now, she's an author, she's a speaker, musician, recording artist, and a sound healer. She's also a Reiki master and consultant. So she has amazing information to give you. But the reason we wanted to bring her today is to share some business practices for holistic health practitioners, which is really important right now. And not only talk about the training and the competencies of a healing practitioner business, but also the steps to create that purposeful business. So Sharon, big welcome to you.
Thank you so much. I'm just thrilled to be here.
Okay, Sharon, I'd like to start with give a little bit of the background to those listening. So can you tell us a little bit about the Sound Wellness, the modality, and also the journey into creating the Institute?
Well, thank you for asking this, because in a way it was a gift from the universe, and partly it was me saying, yes, I'll do that. And these are things that I never really expected to be doing, but when you say yes, then the journey focuses and the results happen. So the first part of creating Sound Wellness, I had been doing my own sound healing training in the United States, training with a couple of the pioneers. And at the same time, I had been on faculty at the university, the Mount Royal University here in Calgary, in the conservatory. And so I returned from the second teaching and I received a phone call from out of the blue. And what I was asked was to create a program as a facilitator in a study on stress. And they wanted to test how well sound healing, sound therapy worked on managing stress. And I thought, yes, I can do that. I'm good at those things. So I created the program. And on the last day of working with my group of volunteers, everyone was so excited about what they learned. And so I thought, I've got to find a way to bring this information to a wider audience because they found it so valuable. And Sound Wellness, that was back in 2008. There was that gift. And so we grew and floundered with Sound Wellness for a number of years. And another gift where I had the opportunity to say yes happened last summer. And it was with one of the fellow members of the Evolutionary Business Council. I'm a member of this organization. And we had a conversation, and his specialty, what he did his PhD in, was in helping businesses to create competency certification. And so after we had this conversation, Ed and I work on Sound Wellness together, and we looked at each other and went, yes, both of us. And so that began a journey of being mentored by Dr. Stephen Hobbs. And he helped us create all of the competencies that our practitioners would be tested on. And then suggested, and this recommendation came from Stephen, is, you really ought to create Sound Wellness as your own modality. And because of the research we'd been doing, that was another thing I hadn't expected, but that was one thing that kind of came out of this journey of creating a really high level training and a really, I'm not sure what the right word, the competency training is the highest level of certification you can get.
We wanted to talk a little bit about modalities, but before we get there, one of the things that I do want to establish is, because I work with a lot of heart-based entrepreneurs and a lot of holistic healing practitioners, there's a huge shift in the market as well for alternative therapy, the marketplace. And it's not just about being accepted, those therapies being accepted, but they're actually being explored and researched and built upon right now. So from your experience and what's happened with you, could you give us a little bit about where do you see this alternative therapy marketplace going?
Oh, Hannah, that is huge because in Canada we have a public healthcare system where we pay so much a month. It's like insurance. You pay so much a month and then you have access to public healthcare. That is where I see alternative healthcare going, where we have the same kind of systems, and there's already people here in Alberta I'm hearing this in a few different places. We need to set up a healthcare system where people pay a certain amount of that a month that they use towards practitioners and use towards holistic healthcare. It is growing enormously. It's a huge area. And I love what you were saying too, is the study, the research, and creating the credibility is really important. And one of the things that after Ed and I had this conversation with Stephen, one of the first things we did was research. So we went to practitioner associations. For practitioners who want to be professional, it really helps to be a member of an association like this. And so we went to practitioner associations. And when I did my own training, I did a little bit of this. And we looked all over the world. Not one had sound healing or sound therapy as an accepted modality. And I thought, that's awful. There are 2 flutes that have been found in Europe that are believed to predate our use of language. We had music before we could speak to each other with words. It's one of our first modalities, and it's nowhere in professional associations. So that's one of the big motivations for us in creating this level of certification. Because part of what we're doing and also in creating this certification is approaching the practitioner associations, asking them to become an accredited training association or institute, and then to ask for sound wellness as a modality to be an accepted, regulated modality. Sound healing is exploding all over the world, but training is all over the map. So we thought, well, let's create something that is regulated so that it can at least start the ball rolling to get sound onto those lists. It needs to be onto those lists.
I just want to expand on that. So I've got a very important question. I just want to ask you about coming up with the idea of creating the sound healing modality, because I know the people listening in have obviously got something to share too. And is this, creating the modality something you see happening a lot in the holistic healing world? Like people bringing out something new, something which is really needed.
Yes, and it's happening here too. And part of our decision to create the new modality was because of this problem we saw, that it wasn't anywhere in professional associations. And in order to have it recognized, then the new modality is that's why we created the new modality. And it's a combination of things that already exist, but the training is really carefully measured and regulated. So it may be a little different than other modalities that are being created now, but it's really important to, when you do create a modality, is really consider very carefully the kind of training, because the field of holistic healthcare is exploding all over the world. Practitioners need to be professional, and in order to be professional, then the highest level of certification really helps them to do that and to present that to their clients.
Okay. I just want to expand one more thing on that. So what do you think is really needed other than the training, results-wise, to bring that into the healthcare system so people can subsidize it, so the government treats it in a different way, they have a new outlook on it?
Well, the credibility and the competency is helpful. Competency certification, well, even a university degree isn't a competency certification. Most of our certifications are just, you came to this training, you were there, so you receive a certificate of attendance. Then a university degree is like, it's a certificate of achievement. So I was there, I studied, I wrote exams, so I achieved this. Competency means you're tested to be competent, which is what doctors go through and nurses go through and massage therapists go through. Acupuncture also has a very strong training in competency. You're tested on every one of the competencies. So that's the reason we went to that level of certification. It doesn't exist that we found so far yet anywhere on the planet. And we thought, okay, let's jump into this and create this and help to get the holistic healthcare system to that level where we can have it subsidized. Because I think that's where it's going. Yeah. And that's wonderful, because then it gives us the choice to blend in the traditional medical care with the alternative care for what we feel we need. It empowers us in our own health and well-being.
Now, a lot of people who listen to these interviews, they are kind of, they've done different modalities. They're kind of trying to figure out their own footing. So, the articles that you and I shared, and we were talking about the steps. So what I wanted to ask you is, at which point does a practitioner know that he or she can create their own modality? So maybe an overview of the steps, because you just start by just learning a bunch of things, then you're practicing. So what are the steps from your understanding of what's an overview till they reach that space?
Good question. Well, you need to do a bit of research to find out what else is going on in comparable fields, and some of it, and I feel as far as creating a new modality, some of it is deeply related to your soul purpose. When I first started working with sound, I knew for me that was my soul work, and just following those opportunities and saying yes to some of those helps it develop. And one of the really important things, once the modality starts coming through, and some of this is channeled, some of it comes from a higher self or higher place. Once the information starts coming through, or you're gathering information from what is already here, then you need to create a logical flow of study with it. If you're going to be training other people to do this, it needs to make sense to them. So you need to create really solid programs and I guess a flow of training that goes from very simple things to more challenging things. So you broaden the experience of the people taking the training. Creating systems, lots of systems. So how are you training? How are you registering? How are you developing? Do you have level 1, level 2, level 3? How are you creating all of this? And what kinds of certificates are you giving? That's important. I didn't know really a few years ago that there were so many these 3 main levels of certification. And when we started creating Sound Wellness, we really got into levels of certification and thought, what do we want to create and why do we want to create it?
Yeah. Sharon, you just mentioned the 3 levels of certification for those listening. Can you just give us the 3 levels, what they are?
Certificate of attendance. So if you put out that I'm teaching a new modality, come and train, that's a certificate of attendance. Certificate of achievement is you're writing exams. And then the certificate of competency is you're writing exams and you're being tested on everything you're doing. So there's somebody, and in our systems, we have other people testing our practitioners. So if we're teaching the course, we don't test the practitioners, somebody else does. So we know we're getting a third party eyes to make sure that our practitioners are confident in what they're doing.
A key point for you was from 2008 to when your business really blossomed. What do you think, what was the strongest part of that foundation which allowed your modality and the Sound Wellness to really take off?
Well, that's a good question too, because that, to me, Daniel, that's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest thing there is what we call standing out. It's getting out there in many, many different ways. And since 2008, well, actually, since before then, I've been writing articles in magazines. We had the blog. We went to many, many trade fairs. I do all kinds of, I love doing interviews because it's such a wonderful opportunity to share. And I'm always so, so grateful for that. And with video, I love video because it lets people see you and feel your energy, and that helps them make a decision. If they're interested, then there's always a place where they can click a link to go and go, I want to check her out, she's interesting. And also a way to really connect with people. I've been on Periscope for quite a while doing toning, and just to explore the video and learn myself. And then Facebook Live, I'm finding, wow, I'm so glad. What took me so long to get into Facebook Live, because I'm loving that too. And the connection that it allows us to make with the people who are looking for help.
So actually, you mentioned a little bit of toning on Periscope. So I'm going to ask you for, like a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of home-based entrepreneurs, and they're working and they've got these ups and downs and a lot of overwork kind of a, state that they're in. So can you give us some simple tips from Sound Wellness to help them sort of stay in balance and focus?
Oh, they're what I love to. They're what I call the natural voice of the body. And we do this every day. We do this all the time. It's our body's normal way of creating harmony and balance. So what are the things you do when you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated? You sigh. Other natural sounds of the body are, ooh, isn't that interesting? Or, ah, isn't that so cute? And then we also have moans and groans. And it's actually been found that these things stimulate the endorphins in the brain that helps the body heal and helps it manage pain. So what I love to share with the sigh, with a way of reducing stress, is a vocalized sigh. And it sounds like this. So it's like it turns on those endorphins even more. It expands the effect by allowing the sound starting around the middle of your vocal range and just letting it drop. Those lower sounds just help the body go, ah. You can feel the shoulders drop, and even your voice changes, your breathing changes. So simple, easy peasy. You can do it anytime. Well, maybe not in a meeting unless you can get everybody else into it too. But expanding on that, there's one more if we have time. I'd love to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because one of the problems I see are all around our community, our neighborhood, our city, is that people are they're so trapped in their thoughts. They have very little awareness about what's going on around them. And this happens when I notice it a lot when I'm out driving. People are doing things and they're not paying attention. That's not being present. Mm-hmm. So to bring yourself instantly back into presence, there's another sound. Sound goes through you. So this sound is like a shockwave through the body, and it brings you instantly present. And it sounds like this. Ho! So it's a big third chakra sound that comes from the belly that goes, whoa, I'm here, I'm right now. And it's a really neat way. If you notice yourself floating around when you're driving, sometimes I do that. So when I get to the stoplights and go, I don't remember how I got here, then I do this just to ground me again into the body and to be more mindful. It's very quick. Also clears the mind. So wonderful, very quick, like the way of just becoming more present. And that's important. We need more of that.
I'd just like to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights with us. It's been amazing.
And for everyone listening in, let us know what your questions are. You can put them in the comment below under the video, PM us, put it on our social media pages, write to us, and we'll give Sharon's details as well below the interview.
And for everyone else, keep a lookout for more videos on creating a successful home-based business, and see you next time. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.